you're thrust back into the depths of time. You look around. It looks desolate, lonely, empty. Even the oceans are lifeless. It's a warm, storm-prone world with no sign of water anywhere. Practically almost everything is desert. As time moves on, you see the gradual growth and development of awkward-looking creatures. Crocodilian-looking amphibians, crocodilian-looking mammals. Everything is off. And with just a snap of a finger, almost everything is gone again. Welcome to the Triassic. Hi y'all. Okay. Um so yeah, we're talking about the Triassic, as I said last episode. So to recap, Permian, it was good. It went from the Carboniferous. A lot of animals, a lot of plants, the plants really grew during the Carboniferous, and that continued through the Permian. But then at the end, there was a really catastrophic mass extinction event that practically almost killed all the life on Earth. So we should be happy that it didn't kill the mammalian ancestors. But anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the first part of the new Mesozoic era, because it ended from the Permian to the Triassic. So we're talking about that. Anyways, so Triassic. It's evident in the name. It's divided into three parts: Triassic, tricycle, 3 wheels. Early Triassic, the oldest bit, is called the Buntsandstein. It's German. I don't know. I used to take German, but I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyways, characterized by colored sandstone, and there was more siliciclastic strata. So a lot of volcanic eruptions, a lot of tectonic movement. The Middle Triassic was the Muschelkalk, also German, characterized by clam limestones and more marine carbonates and evaporites. So the expansion of biodiversity. That is what happened during that time as well. It correlates. Late Triassic, the youngest, was the Kuiper. I think that's also German. Characterized by the specific marls of this time and more siliclastic strata. So also a lot of volcanic eruptions and tectonic activity. Like I said before, there was a mass extinction at the end of Triassic, so it could have been caused by that. Anyways, I will get onto that point, because honestly, this extinction event at the end of the Triassic is pretty big. It's not the biggest, but it's pretty big. Anyways, Triassic, you know them as Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous, and that's more commonly known as a period of the dinosaurs. And specifically, the Triassic is called the dawn of the age of the dinosaurs, but that's kind of untrue. Why? Well, firstly, the first dinosaur did not appear until the late Triassic. So, it's not really the dawn of the age of the dinosaurs, because that time is more towards Jurassic. Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, whatever. The movies are kind of good. They are kind of good. Anyways, so during the late Triassic, the first mammalia forms, and the pterosaurs and turtles grew. Yeah. And then during the Triassic, there was also like the proliferation of beetles. The first flies. I hate flies. Like, they're good for the food web, they're good for the ecosystem. They're scavengers, you know? But they kind of suck. They suck. I don't like them. I don't like it when they fly next to my ear. It gives me that goosebump, you know? Anyways, first flies flew in the air. I really hope they didn't. First water bugs appeared, and so the flies and the water bugs, really, like, fed, like, provided sustenance for the first salamanders and amphibians of the world. And during the Triassic, there was also a representative of a number of extant groups of conifers and ferns that appeared. Extant being, like, the surviving groups from the Permian extinction. So, the existing groups. So, these guys are the survivors. Yeah. So, with all that said, the Triassic would be better named as the dawn of the modern ecosystems. Because honestly, we have all that we have. Wait, hold on. Honestly, at this point, the Triassic has all that we have today. Except for the dinosaurs at the end. The dinosaurs at the end I will get to. Well, no. I won't get to that because I'm going to be talking about the extinction event instead. I think that's a bit more important. In the next episode, I can talk more about the dinosaurs. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of biodiversity. They recovered from the Permian. Although a bit, like, struggledly because it took a while to recover from the Permian. The early Triassic is marked by numerous gaps in, like, fossil records for corals, nutrient upwelling in coal. And this period is, like, marked by a lot of habitable conditions, like hot greenhouse gas conditions and ocean anoxia. Yeah, so it wasn't very fun back then. But then they recovered. They recovered by the middle Triassic. And there was a lot of diversity and evolutionary innovation. But anyways, back to the topic. So, with all that said, the Triassic is described as a huge experiment in animal design. Because, honestly, a lot of the animals that grew during this time were a bit weird. They were a bit sketchy. So, numerous land animals that thrived during the Triassic disappeared around the end of the period. So, it was more like, oh, let's implement this. And they're like, oh, it didn't really work. And they removed it. Kind of. I know that's not how it actually works in the natural world. They got, like, out-competed against, or their food source depleted, or, like, some species might have been endemic to an island, and that island blew up because of a volcanic eruption. Who knows? Well, you actually know if something gets blown up by a volcanic eruption. But it's not definitive. Anyways, sorry. I'm going to be talking about a giant grasshopper now, so if you don't like that. Among the insects, there was Titanoptera. It's a close relative of grasshoppers. It has a wingspan of at least 40 centimeters. A 40 centimeter... a grasshopper that's that big? Okay, that is longer than your standard ruler. I'm sorry, but that wingspan is huge. Therefore, that insect would have been huge. Yeah, I'm okay with grasshoppers. They aren't the scariest thing. Well, no, they aren't scary at all. What am I talking about? They won't eat you. They'll just jump, which is a bit sketchy. Anyways, that was about insects. Now I'm going into reptilians. Reptilians, there was the Tanystropheus. Tanystropheus? Yeah. Crazy long neck. It has a crazy long neck. It was longer than its torso and tail combined. Crazy long neck. I was gonna say something about the chameleon, but then no, the chameleon's tongue is longer than its tail. I'm pretty sure. If I remember my childhood data from the National Geographic, then yeah, I'm right. No, I don't know if I'm actually right. I haven't fact checked that, so you might want to do that. Take everything I say with not everything I say with a grain of salt. Take what I just said about the chameleons with a grain of salt. Anyways, there was also Longus quama, small reptile with a row of elongated hockey stick shaped structures along its back. So it's kind of like a sail, but without membrane between the rods that stick out. And this was like a small reptile crawling around on the trees. And it's got like 5 not pucks. Yeah, 5 hockey sticks sticking out of its back. That would have been funny to see. I'm sorry. But would I give money to see that? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would have loved to see that. Anyways, now we're talking about the, let's see, Trypanosaurus. Yeah. Just because I'm saying saurus at the end does not mean it's a dinosaur. This was before. Okay, dinosaurs came at the end of the Triassic. Because I say saurus, they are not dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are completely different. If you search these guys up, the Trypanosauruses, on Google, then you'll see like they have a long body, but then weird humps at the shoulder and like the pelvis area. Hold on. Let me try. They look like They look like the number 8, but if you cut it in half, longitudinally. They look like that, and then if you add a head and tail, that's them. But there's more. They've got like enlarged hands, phalanges, not digits. I'm gonna say hands, even though that's not biologically correct. They've got large hands, and then they've got extra phalanxes on the second digit of each front limb. So imagine, like, stick your hand out, point, and then single out your index finger. That index finger would be huge if you were Trypanosaurus. That finger would be huge with a giant claw at the end as well. You'd have a big index finger. Anyways, and they also had a long tail with a hook at the end for prehensile abilities. So, this was the first spider monkey. No, I'm kidding. Obviously not the first spider monkey. But it's got the same abilities, prehensile tail, super grip, spider monkey-esque. Obviously not a spider monkey because Trypanosaurus was a reptilian. Spider monkeys are mammals, so completely different. But, I'm comparing the similarities between abilities, not biology. Now, Triassic tetrapods have a rich record. Most principal groups of extant amphibians and amniotes, or their closest relatives, made their first appearance during the Triassic. Now, I am going to briefly talk about dinosaurs. Additionally, the first dinosaurs and pterosaurs appeared during the Triassic. First pterosaur was, pterosaur, was Rhamphorhynchoids. And they were pretty small. They were teethed. Oh, obviously, they're predators, and they had tails. So, honestly, your generic pterosaur, but this was the first. So, it's pretty significant. Anyways, recent studies. Well, from the journal I got this from, this was like written in 2010. So, um, studies, um, oh, from the past decade reviewed the intra and interrelationships of tetrapods during the Triassic, and this led to the rearrangement of classifications and taxonomy groups. So, a lot happened during the Triassic. That is my summary for this bit. Anyways, during the Mesozoic being the Triassic area, but the Triassic is the early Mesozoic. There were the temnospondyls, which were classified as amphibians, and this group involved the stem groups of frogs and salamanders, at least. Like, there could be more. During the Triassic, the temnospondyls were represented by a variety of lineages, which were mostly aquatic or semi-aquatic, in most ecosystems. So, amphibians, practically. Yeah, that's what I said. Most temnospondyls were classified as stereospondyls, which characteristically had an extra large centrum in each vertebra. And then it's split into more groups. One group from the stereospondyls is the Capitosauroidea, characterized by an opening along the posterior margin of the skull, and it had a crocodile-like appearance. And then there was a Trematosauria. It was either long-snouted or short-snouted. Those were the differences between them. And then during the Triassic, there was also the Anthracosauridae. Yeah. They were tetrapods from the Paleozoic, but from the Permian specifically. But this is relevant in ways because one group, the Chroniosuchia, survived well into the Triassic. There you go. And then a couple of episodes ago I talked about animals laying eggs on land because they want to, not colonize. It wasn't like, oh, we should colonize the land. Let's lay eggs on land. It wasn't like that in their minds. It was more like an evolutionary advantage. Adaptative advantage. Why? Because they wanted to live on land because there was more resources, more space, more possibilities. I'm saying this like they're humans. They aren't. But it's in that way, But till this point, like Triassics, not today, but the Triassic. The one thing that all the groups had in common, so like reptiles, birds, mammals, the one thing that they all had in common was that they still laid eggs. They laid amniotic eggs, where a membrane surrounds and encloses the embryo in a liquid-filled sac. And so all of these organisms were grouped together as the amniota. Yeah, today some mammals still lay eggs, like echidnas, platypuses. It's kind of weird, but anyways, amniota. Now moving on. Hold on. Yeah. Now I'm talking about the geography of the Triassic. There's quite a lot. I think last period I talked about Pangea. and I just didn't talk a lot about it. I just talked about, oh, how the climate is blah 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 blah. Well, I'm going into detail today. Yeah. Okay. During the entire Triassic period, Pangaea existed. It was just there the entire time. It was there. There was, well, I mean, yeah, there was geographic changes, but it didn't split or anything during this time. Um, Supercontinent, northern part was named Laurasia, lower part was named Gondwana. Um, and honestly, it was a big piece of land. It kind of looks like a kidney, like the right kidney. Sorry. Um, yeah. And these land masses, Laurasia and Gondwana, were separated by an embayment by the Tethys Ocean. Tethys Sea, not an ocean. Tethys Sea being a prehistoric sea. And by separated, I mean like, if you write something on the top of the page and you add a small little line and you write something else, those two are separated, right? That is what I'm applying here, if that made sense. I'm sorry. Pangaea was formed by the multiple collisions of Asia, Laurentia, and Gondwana along the Allegheny. I'm not sure if I said that right. Ural. I'm not sure if I said that right. And Varsian mountain chains during the late Paleozoic. And Pangaea was surrounded by tons of subduction zones of tectonic plates where the oceanic plates subducted, so they sunk, forming mountain ranges. When continental and oceanic plates converge, like when they meet, the oceanic plate just sinks because it's more dense than the continental plate. And so, the oceanic plate sinks and gets heated up, and that forms magma, and the magma just rises, and it kind of just, it may form a volcano. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. And you get mountain ranges. Like, so, for example, India. India used to be an island. I mean, it separated from Pangaea, it drifted a bit and became an island. And then it drifted up towards Asia, lodged in there. And that's how you got the Himalayas, because the ocean plate subducted, it pushed the sediment from the ocean up against the continental plate, and that just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and you had the buildup of the sediment forming Mount Everest and the mountain range. K2, Annapurna, those. And then, like, there was a lot of interesting things going on geographically. There was a growth of terrains, like small bits of land, during the late Triassic and Jurassic. Pangaea was surrounded by a prehistoric ocean called the Panthalassa Ocean, which I think in Greek means all around, which honestly is a bit creepy. It had fluctuating sea levels from the end Permian to the end of the Triassic, and there were pieces of land that drifted eastward and became part of North and South America. And then in Gondwana during the late Triassic and Jurassic, there were sections of land that separated from the mainland, drifted north, closing the Tethys, so the embayment area, forming what is now eastern and southeastern Asia. So a lot of movement, Pangaea also really affected climates. Pangaean climates are completely different to what we have today. Like, there were no significant land masses that would have affected the movement of oceanic water from the equatorial regions to polar regions. And then polar regions were actually warm, which is a bit creepy. global paleoclimate models suggested that the Triassic was predominantly warm. So, for example, in the north, warm temperate flora appeared as far as 70 degrees north in northern Siberia in the late Triassic. Very warm, a very, very warm world. And, um, moving back to the division of the two landforms of Pangaea, Lauranasia and Gondwana. The embayment by the Tethys in the east allowed for the formation of monsoons, as well as the equal division of the north and south across the hemispheres. And there would be significant atmospheric pressure differences between the summer and winter seasons. Winter would have a lower atmospheric pressure, whereas summer would have a higher one. Again, this is because the continent literally extended across the northern and southern hemispheres. And then, because of this, it also caused air to stream across the equator and the Tethys Sea for most of the year. And changing seasons would cause the direction of this airstream to change, which honestly is kind of weird. I would not want to live here. Yeah. Anyways, most regions of Pangaea would experience a monsoon climate with a long dry season and a shorter wet season, but there were there was abundant rainfall. There was a lot of rainfall, and there must have been asymmetry with the east and western climates. Eastern areas would have a wetter and warmer climate due to the closer proximity of the Tethys and the general ocean. The drifting in the Pangaea northward led to increasingly drier conditions, as seen in the sedimentary rock during the late Triassic from eastern North Africa. No, not eastern North Africa. Eastern North America and the American Southwest. But this evidence was also found in basin fills in Argentina, Brazil, and South Africa, which moved from southern temperate belts to southern arid climate belts. But the sedimentary rock record is incomplete for the Triassic. There are no segments which document significant times of the Triassic or even the entire period, so this, knowledge, this data might just be inadequate. Alright, now, what are we talking about? We are talking about the extinction event. It's quite a lot, but I'm gonna go through all the extinction events that went through, and then the major one at the end. Just a little overview. Okay, so during the Middle Triassic, there were signs of an extinction event. So this was shown because the Western Tethyan Sea, the Western Tethyan carbonate platform productivity stopped, and there was elevated extinctions amongst the beneath groups such as the crinoids, scallops, corals, and fusulinids. Amnioids and cacodonts were also negatively affected. Many changes in the climate accompanied these losses. So, for example, there were greater humid environments. This was also known as the Carnian humid episode or the Carnian pluvial event. They were also accompanied by large monsoonal conditions on Pangaea, increased siliciclastic influx into oceans, double pulse of global warming of around 7 degrees Celsius, intense and widespread anoxia of oceans, and major carbon-13 oscillations of around 7%. So, quite a lot of change. Middle Triassic, you would have thought, oh, prosperity, everything's growing. No, there was an extinction event in the middle, but it was relatively small. Even though a lot of the things I just listed out doesn't sound great, it was pretty small. Now, on to the big one, the end Triassic extinction. It was so big, it only ranks after the end Permian and the end Cretaceous, so the big meteor into Mexico, that extinction event. In terms of, severity of ecological disturbance. And then the end Triassic was catastrophic for coral communities, specifically for the scleractinian corals, bivalves, and amnioids. Ammonoids were also affected. But there were evidence that the bivalves and the ammonoids, began to decline since the Rhytinian, which is the last period of the Triassic. So it may not be because of the, effects that caused the end extinction of the Triassic, that caused the bivalves and the ammonoids to decline in numbers. It might not be because of that. And then there was, in the Newark Basin, USA, it's kind of like New Jersey, New York-ish. The crisis for terrestrial plants marked the Triassic-Jurassic boundary. In Greenland, plant macrofossils revealed catastrophic species losses of 85%. That's a lot. In Europe, the crisis was marked by the end of Ovoliopolis, but it was followed by a diversification of microfloras, so it might not have been that significant in Europe. But all in all, it showed that worldwide plants experience a disturbance in turnover, but this is unclear. It's unclear if the terrestrial plant extinctions or turnovers correlated with the marine extinctions. And then at the Triassic-Jurassic boundary, studies show that the world experienced global warming between 3 and 6 degrees Celsius, which is crazy. And it was driven by a 4-fold increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide, probably from volcanic output. The data on the fourfold increase of atmospheric carbon dioxide is based on the analysis of stomatal density of fossilized leaves, and that's pretty cool, I think. And then CO2-driven acidification is consistent with the selective loss of shelly marine forms with little physiological buffering, especially in corals. So at a lower pH, mollusks and shelled organisms, so for example mussels, scallops, sea urchins, they struggle to develop their shells. And so yeah, they get thinner, and honestly increases the risk of death. In the British Isles and Europe, excursions of carbon-13 isotopes post-state the pinnacle of marine extinctions and occur at the same time as the formation of a semite layer. So a semite layer is practically a layer of rock, which has deformations, inconsistencies that point to maybe seismic activity. And so with that, they concluded that the semite layer may have been caused by an earthquake or a meteor impact of the same force or volcanic activity in the Central Atlantic magmatic province. So yeah, a lot of terrestrial geological factors. All in all, I don't think you'd want to be alive during this time. Yeah. Anyways, that is it, I'm afraid. hope you liked it. Hope you stuck around. Hope you liked learning about the dawn of modern ecosystems, not the dawn of the age of dinosaurs. Dawn of modern ecosystems. Alright, so next time we talk about the Jurassic, really, really dig deep for that Jurassic Park or Jurassic World character that you have. So, yep, thank you, bye!